And then I left and I was driving home. I'm like, I think I might fucking get this role, bro. And then I'm gonna cry. They call me and they're like, dude, you got it. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Wait.
Yeah, I got a little emotional.
On the way home?
On the way home
so all he wanted to do was see you react to
He wanted to talk to me and see me react to that picture and basically ask me if I could become a hero for him.
And you said absolutely.
I was like, dude, yes, I'll do it. And I did it.
Dude, fucking
let's go.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
We're good to go? All right.
Tell me your name, though.
I'm John.
John. Yeah, that's right, John.
And yours?
Chris. Nice to meet you.
John. How are you, John? All right, welcome to another edition of Scene Stealers. We are here with a gentleman you might know. His name's Chris Pratt. He's insanely famous. New movie out this weekend called Mercy.
Yes.
It is incredible.
Thanks, man.
I loved it. It is like a, what did I call it? Minority Report meets phone booth. How do you like that?
That's actually good.
You like that one?
Yeah.
You like that?
That's right. It's got like the technology and the visual flair of a Minority Report, and similar story, a detective on the hunt with new emerging technologies and justice, but then phone booth because it's isolated. I think it's great.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
You like that? Fuck yeah. All right, let's do the first scene.
I would call it is like a Minority Report meets phone booth. That's mine. What would you call it?
Let's fire up the first scene.
You're playing a hunch. What is a hunch?
Trusting my gut. And I'm beginning to think this court could do with a little human intuition.
This court deals only in facts.
Facts aren't where the investigation ends, it's where it starts. Facts are black and white. The truth is always in the gray in between. Guess this court overlooked that. Or were you just programmed wrong?
Now, were you guys always in the same, were you in the same room, or was it kind of someone was reading to you?
I was never in the same room with any of the actors, no, and except for when the film's 90 minutes long. I'm on trial. It's a ticking clock. Basically, from the first frame of the movie, the trial starts, and you got 90 minutes to prove your innocence, or you'll be killed in this room. So all of the stuff that we shot in the room, I was always by myself.
Really?
Yeah, but then all the evidence, everything that's presented to me in this sort of screen life world, all of the stuff that I'm in, like, the Doorbird stuff and the bar sequence, all that stuff we shot on location.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was here, it was just me, and I was communicating with the other actors through an earpiece. No. So they were all in a big tent, and we ran it like a play. So we'd do like 50 or 60 pages in a row. And so everyone was kind of waiting to communicate with me through a microphone as I communicated them with, picking various eye lines. It was really technical.
But watching this movie and reading about you, I've done a lot of prep on you.
Okay.
And I was reading about how in Jurassic Park, your character, you kind of based on a dolphin a little bit. You're always leading with your forehead.
Yeah.
Did you have an animal that you went with for this character?
I did not have like a body lead for this character because I'm primarily sitting down the whole time. It's not a very physical movie. Yeah, so to say that I based it on a dolphin is like probably sounds pretentious, but there is this acting technique called body lead where you kind of pick in creating your character's walk, what part of your body are you leading with? Like there's some people like lead with I led with my guns when I did Magnificent Seven. I was like, let those be the first thing that enters the room. You might lead with your cock, or you might lead with your chin, or your nose, or your shoulder. It kind of depends. And
shit.
I figured he was a dolphin, so I left with my...
Dude, and I read that before rewatching, and I watched Jurassic Park, and I was like, holy shit, he's fucking doing it. You just mentioned Magnificent Seven. Something you did to prepare for that role was you smoked cigarettes in the morning.
Yeah.
Cigars. Cigars in the morning.
I smoked a ton of cigars.
Was there anything like that for this, to be a guy on AI trial?
Most of the preparation for this was the rehearsal process because it was shot like a stage play. So like when people are rehearsing a play, you do rehearsals for weeks and weeks and weeks. You really find the rhythm of the entire piece so that you can repeat it every performance. Oftentimes with acting in film or television, because you're shooting things in small portions, for me, I like to equip the director and the editor with a lot of variation. So I have the last take fresh in my head, so I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna improvise a little bit. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna try to give them a million different things so they can craft the best performance in the end. We didn't really have an opportunity to do this. So like, it wasn't so much about setting myself up in a mindset to try new things in the moment as it was really trying to stick to a very specific emotional architecture through the course of the whole piece and repeat it over and over again because like I said, our takes were like 50 minutes long.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's very interesting that you tried different stuff on other things. I read that Christoph Waltz does that a lot. That's why he's so good because the editor has 100 options.
That's right, and I think I had heard that about Downey. Downey does that, and having worked with him, I can say that that's true. Like every take, it's always truthful, but very, very rarely do you see a single moment repeated, especially since they're recording this shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if that's the one you like,
use that one.
use it or move on. If you're sold, I'm gonna keep trying until you say we've got it. You know what I mean? So you try different things, and also like there's this. I think Dustin Hoffman does that a lot, and I think. A lot of actors love to really come up with. They colloquialize the words. I do that myself, where you know what's written, you're gonna say that, but you're gonna kind of find your own way to say it.
Yeah.
And then you might even circle right back to eventually saying exactly as it's written, but it feels fresh. Because I think in order to create an organic moment, you're looking someone in the eyes and you're kind of inventing what to say in the moment.
Yeah.
And so that feels more real than just rehearsing it or saying it like, I said it in the mirror like this 10 times. I'm gonna try to parrot what I did. It's like being in the moment. Thinking is really acting. Acting is like, coming up with the words.
Yeah, you have the prep done, but then feel it when you're there.
That's it.
Hell yeah. We're going to go with our next scene here. It's from a 2009 film called Deep in the Valley.
Oh my God. Whoa.
Meet Lester Watts, W-A-T-T-S. I'm a boxer's man. Average size, probably, 5 7/8 inches, but it's really wide. Devastating girth. Last night, or in this morning, and like 20 minutes ago at lunch.
And a pack of smokes?
If I had to choose, probably nipple clamps over strap-on. Tapped? What else do I like? Fucking 6th graders! No, that's not what I meant. Hello? I didn't. Hello?
Dude, that's unbelievable.
That was, I think, entirely improvised.
That was entirely improvised?
I think so, yeah. I can't. It's been a while, but there was a great deal of improv in that, yeah.
The choice to put the straw in the flask, was that you?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, we shot that in the valley. It's called Deep in the Valley. Man, that was one of my very first movies that I think it might be the first movie I was ever
I think so as well. Yeah.
the lead of, and that was it was Christian Forte directed and wrote the script, and we got to do a ton of improv on it.
I watched Deep in the Valley, and I was like, oh, why did it take so long for him to become a megastar? You can tell the second he's on screen.
Oh man, that means so much to me.
But it also didn't really take that long, right? Because that was 2009, and then Parks and Rec was right there.
Right around there, around that time.
So then you were 2 years, 2 years on Parks and Rec, and it was...
Well, in hindsight, it feels like Parks and Rec was like a big hit, but at the time, like we were afraid of being canceled every year. We were just on the bubble. Like it didn't find that it had, in retrospect, it's had a lot of success, and in streaming, and it's had a lot of success, but we were always really cautious because we thought it was going to cancel. And also, I wasn't even a series regular on that show the first season.
Oh, you weren't?
I was considered like a special guest star, so I was going to be written out of the show. And then, but the stuff that they were writing and the stuff that I was performing was working so well that they decided to keep me on as a regular.
Andy Dwyer was a character you created your whole life, right? He was
Basically,
kind of like a goofy character, and you created him. Why?
I didn't necessarily create the character Andy Dwyer, but the clown of that character was my comedic shtick that I've been formulating my entire life. And why does anybody create comedic shtick? It was probably like a self-defense mechanism, to navigate situations. If you can make someone laugh, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
I think comedy's born in pain, and I think, having certain aspects of my childhood, which I had a great, I'm not like saying I had a terrible childhood or anything, but there were aspects of it that were painful, and, we didn't have a lot of money, but we laughed a lot. So I think like that, comedy was the currency in our love, and also our love language. I was born in Minnesota, so we're a Midwest family, like cutting each other down is like how we say I love you, you know what I mean? Like taking the piss out of each other, having really thick skin, like developing that thing. So like that affable, kind of lovable dimwit, a lack of intelligence, but played intelligently, I think was kind of my way out. It was a way to charm my way out of getting myself out of trouble if I could make someone laugh, Just I remember I can't tell you how many times in my life I would just egg people on by looking at them and pretending I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, and they couldn't tell if I did or not. I would just have this look, this very earnest look where I was like, I don't get it.
What do you mean you don't get it?
I don't.
It's very simple to understand, Chris. It's 2 + 2 is 4.
I don't get it. Yeah, it's like, I would do that. I would do that like in school. I'd be doing my homework on this. I don't get it. I remember early in my career, I was in good shape. I was like, felt confident walking into a room. And I couldn't fucking get arrested. Like no one would hire me to do anything. The only roles I would get was jerk boyfriend, you know, like the guy who's in the movie, they're like, you know, fuck you, loser. Like Chad rolls up in his dad's Escalade with fucking spiky hair, and then the nerdy kid who's the hero is like, fuck you, Chad, and then kicks him in the balls, and you're like, oh, and then the audience is like, yeah, fuck that guy. I was the fuck that guy for a long time. And those were the roles I would get, and then, but it wasn't really like, I don't think innately I am the fuck that guy, and so I was never all that good at playing those roles. And so I got cast as that role on a TV show called Everwood, which was kind of my first big break. It was 4 years, it was on the WB, and they tailored the character to be closer to my own personality and not dissimilar to Andy, like a kind of lovable guy, but a little slow, but you love him and you like him, and he's got a good heart, you know? You know, I'd done a movie called Take Me Home Tonight where I was, again, playing the douchebag boyfriend character, and then I got auditioned for Parks and Rec, got the role, and he was kind of the douchebag guy who was gonna get written out. And then the writers, thankfully, and I think smartly, decided to tailor the character to be more towards my own strengths. And then I started playing Andy, and I was watching an episode at home, remarking to myself, bro, you're getting fat, what the fuck? You look fat. And then I was like, oh damn, this is the funniest I've seen myself be.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, oh, I'm gonna get real fat. And I told Mike Schur, I was like, dude, I wanna try to get fat. He's like, great, sounds good. And so I started getting, so the part of me that was Andy was like, maybe this is my bread and butter because these other roles aren't really working. I can't get cast in anything else. I can't play the hero. Maybe I need to lean into this, the friend character, the comedic sidekick character, the schlubby guy who gets the laugh. And so I started doing that as Andy, and that was like how I had kind of, and then I redefined myself later in my career. But that was that period of my life. I was like, oh, so that part of me that was, I was that guy. I was kind of like the fat sidekick friend who'd get you to laugh, you know?
That sounds like you ever heard McConaughey talk about how he started doing, how he got Dallas Buyers, where it was like, he was sick of doing rom-coms, and he just kept saying no. And he's like,
right.
I just said no, until they gave me something else.
Yeah.
I like you just getting fatter and fatter and fatter.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm done being the douchebag boyfriend.
Yeah, no. If I'm gonna be a douchebag, I'm gonna be a fat douchebag. That's right. It's my McConaughey moment.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people say that.
Okay, next up, we got a big one, Infinity War.
Oh, wow.
Got so strong now, huh? Where's Gamora? My Gamora. Oh, bullshit. Where is she?
He is in anguish.
Good.
He mourns.
What does this monster have to mourn?
Gamora. You took her to Vormir. He came back with the Soul Stone. But she didn't.
Okay, Quill, you gotta cool it right now. You understand? Don't engage. We almost got this off!
Tell me she's lying. Asshole! Tell me you didn't do it! I had to.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
What is it like filming that scene? Obviously, that scene, you are aware, right? You know that's an iconic scene. That's a mega scene, right?
You don't, like, I look at it differently now than when I was going into it. This was very much a supporting part. You know, I come in and I did maybe between the two films of Infinity War and Endgame, I think I worked 20 days between the two. And so I was definitely here in support of the cast of the Avengers. And so I love the Russos. I work closely with the Russos, and they're really great in allowing us to collaborate and come up with, and contribute in terms of like helping with the writing and the shaping of the characters. Also, James Gunn was not directing this. This is the first time I'd played the character without it being James directing me.
How weird is that, playing a character with different writers and directors?
It's especially with James's relationship to Peter Quill, it was noticeable. You know what I mean? Like it was just but then again, like I said, so this isn't the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it's a supporting movie. And what's wild about this scene is people eviscerate Quill because of his his responsibility for essentially getting Iron Man killed for that moment. You know, that human moment where like people hate this character for a while, and I really felt that. People were like on the street would be like, "Why'd you do it, man?" And I'm like, I like what? What? I didn't do anything.
You know, it's already written.
And also, if I hadn't, the movie, which is 2 movies, would be 30 minutes long. Like we got him. That's not a movie, you know what I mean? So like looking at it now, I kind of feel the weight of and the ramifications of what happened to the character of Quill because of that. I'm still happy that it happened, but I didn't understand that it would be iconic. I don't think anyone, I mean, we were all just trying to kind of find our ass, for me at least, you know what I mean? As I was working, I'm working with Downey. Like I remember when I first booked Quill, I remember.
What was that like? What was that moment like in that call?
Dude. It was so awesome. Yeah. It was so great.
Who calls you?
That one, I'll give you the long and more interesting version of it. I had auditioned to play so many different characters in the MCU up to this point, all of which hard pass. They did not want me. And I was just like, and it was around the time that I was doing, you know, it was before Parks and Rec and up to Parks and Rec that I was kind of like engaging in that world, trying to be the action hero. No one thought I was right for that role. And a few different times I really failed. And as I was looking more like Andy than Peter Quill, when I'd walk into the auditions and they could just, like, you know, I just see the casting director's eyes glaze over as I was going through the scene. I'm sweating. I was like so uncomfortable. And so the rejection of it, I thought, okay, this is just not the world I want to play in. I was feeling defensive. I'm like, they're doing so many of these movies. It's cooler to not be in one than to be in, you know, whatever. And so when the audition for Guardians of the Galaxy came up, I was like, I don't know, I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I told my manager, I don't think so. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, I just don't think that's, I didn't say it out loud, but what I was feeling is I don't need to go have them tell me that they don't want me to play this character.
Yeah.
You know? And so I passed on it. And also James Gunn was like struggling to find Peter Quill, and Sarah Finn, our beautiful, wonderful, extraordinary, talented casting director, was like, what about Chris Pratt? And he was like, the fat guy from Parks and Rec? No, I'm not gonna, no, I don't. So we're both, you know, concluding that I would not be even auditioning for the role. So anyways, over the course of time, it was around the time that Zero Dark 30 was coming out. Zero Dark 30 came out, I saw it in the theater, and I play a Navy SEAL, a SEAL Team 6 member, and no one in the screening room laughed when I got on stage. You know, they were like, okay, I buy it. That guy could be SEAL Team 6 member. I was playing a character that in their minds, it was believable that I could be on the team that hunted down and killed Osama bin Laden, right? Like, I was selling and portraying a badass, and people bought it. And I thought, wow, and you're constantly recalibrating how the business sees you and where you might live in the marketplace. And around the same time, there were a lot of action comedies happening, but it was never with someone who was actually action hero-y. You know, it was like the reluctant hero who'd like punch the guy and his hand would hurt, and that was the comedy. He'd kick the door down and then he'd fall over, and it's like, this guy's inept, he can't be an action hero. That was sort of the things that were being produced at the time. So I was thinking to myself, and I remember distinctly telling my manager, listen, I can play a guy who can kick a door down. We just proved that. Also, I think I have comedy chops. Maybe we just need to develop something that incorporates the two, where I can play a guy who's legitimately seems like a tough guy and a badass guy, but also with my own brand of humor. So maybe we need to find a writer and just develop something. And she kept saying, what about Guardians of the Galaxy? And I was like, ugh. And I said, fine, you know what? I'll do it. And but I'm gonna
the audition or
the audition.
Audition, okay.
I was like, yeah, the audition. I fully went in there intending for them to just pass on me, and so but in doing it, I've had also like learned this technique auditioning, which was go and be surprising, and go and just lie. The minute you walk through the door, you're not have to tell any of these motherfuckers the truth. Just completely bullshit them to get the role. Like I do that. When I booked Everwood, the guy, he's a bully and he beats up this kid with purple hair who's the hero. And the kid is like, has manga characters, and I rip his manga magazine and say something stupid to him. And when I walked into the audition, they're like, do you have any questions? I was like, so basically I'm the hero? and this little purple-haired freak moves into my town. He's trying to like boink my sister. So my job is just basically like putting him in his place. And they're like, yeah. And I walk out and then I put my ear to the door like I always do at auditions. And I hear him go, well, that's the guy. You know what I mean? So like you walk in, you pretend. It works until people know who you are. But so with James, you know, there was all this mystery around anything that's a Marvel project. They're not going to actually give you the script. They're going to give you scenes that are like not actually from the movie because it's also secretive.
Yeah,
you know, and these things leak, and you can't give every person auditioning for the role the script, or else it'll get out there. People, it's like they covet the material so much, which is really frustrating as an actor because you want to be able to do this stuff. And I remember looking it up and looking at the lists. Everyone wanted to know who's going to be Peter Quill. The 50 actors who should play Peter Quill, and I was like, nope, I'm not on the list. I'm not on the list, you know?
No way.
And so it just kind of reaffirmed the idea that I'm not gonna get this thing. So I walk in there and James was like, but I had this idea of like, the thing I wanted to develop, the comedy that I had in my mind of the action hero being the guy. I was like, I'm just gonna walk in and I'm gonna be that guy. And I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And if it works, great. If it doesn't, fine. And so he was like, so hey, Chris, and when he tells it, he's like, Sarah snuck me in. He's like, I said I didn't want to see this dude. I'm like, fuck. So I walk in and he says, hey, yeah, Chris, hey man, thanks for coming in. Do you have any questions? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Do I have questions? It's all I have. You won't give me a script? I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't know what the character's supposed to be. There's so many iterations of this guy. You won't show me I don't know what you expect. You want me to come in here and play this character. I'm just gonna like come in and just guess, I guess, is what I'm supposed to do. And so I started being Quill in front of him.
Dude, you did that?
Yeah.
That's like when they hand in a test, like this is a risk.
Yeah. Well, it was a risk, but also it wasn't because I was like, they're going to say no anyways.
Right.
You know? So I was like, that indifference.
So you kind of had that freedom of.
I had that freedom to do whatever I wanted.
Way. Might as well fail my way.
And no one walks in. Everyone is so deferential in every audition. It's like everyone's so thirsty.
Right.
You know, they walk in, they're like, do you have any questions? Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to be, you know, it's like, don't do that. Do something different, you know, stand out if you can. And so, and always just be what you want to be in the audition, even if it's not right for the role. Do the thing, play the note that you know how to play and make it memorable, because even if that thing doesn't get cast, the casting director will know what you can do.
Yeah.
If you try to fake it and do the thing that's on the page and you're not good at it, A, they're not going to hire you, and B, they're not going to see what you have to offer for other things that come down the road, because casting directors are all about building relationships with actors and being like, oh, you know who'd be right for this thing? He came in and auditioned for this, but he wasn't good for it, but he might be right for this. So play the thing you know how to play. And that's what was always my technique. And so he said in that moment, he was like, all right, this is gonna be this guy. So this is the long version. So anyways, cut to the question you asked was, what was it like to get that call? So the problem was I was like still 285 pounds at this point. And so I had done this movie, Moneyball, right there.
There it is.
And I had to lose a ton of weight to get cast in Moneyball. And I remember I was Andy during the off season getting fat, and then doing these prestige kind of movies like Moneyball and Zero Dark 30 in the summer. So I'd have to like balloon my weight up and down over and over again for multiple years. And I had gotten in great shape to play Moneyball. I remember I was too fat for like 6 weeks, and then I just went hardcore like wrestler and cut like 50 pounds in like 6 weeks, just like starved myself, not healthy at all.
You were on those GLP-1s.
No, yeah, it was before GLP-1s. I wish they had them back then. I was on the GLP don't eat shit and starve and just sweat in plastic. I was just plastic bags and saunas and running.
Really?
And starving myself. Yeah, it's like
old school.
I went old school, and week after week after week, I kept. Did you cast it yet? Did you cast it yet? Did you cast it yet? And finally, I sent this picture. Wait, no, excuse me. I did have to lose money, but for Zero Dark 30, I got pretty jacked over the summer. And I sent the picture to my brother, who's backstage here. My brother's with me out here in New York right now. And I sent him this picture. He's like, dude, you look jacked. That's amazing. I can't wait to see Zero Dark 30. And then he watched the movie. He's like, bro, you're like, no one sees that you're jacked at all because you're wearing like a full kit the whole time. What a waste. He's like, you need to put that picture out on Leno. He was backstage with me at Leno. I was like, oh, we already did our pre-interview. I'm not going to like just show a picture of myself in my underwear on Leno. It makes no sense. But then when I went on Ellen to promote something, he was like, show that fucking picture, dude. No one knows that you got jacked. I was like, all right, so I did it. I put the picture on Ellen. And then she showed it, and it was, oh, Chris he got in good shape, and he's in Ellen underwear. So then, when I'm finally sitting down with Kevin Feige and all the executives at Marvel, 285 pounds. This is like 2 years after Zero Dark 30. He slaps the picture from Ellen of me in my underwear, and he's like, can you do this? I was like, how long do I got? He's like, 7 months. I was like, oh, dude, I can blow that out of the water. And this is when I hadn't given me the role yet. He's like, okay. And then I left and I was driving home. I'm like, I think I might fucking get this role, bro. And then I'm gonna cry. They call me and they're like, dude, you got it. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Way.
Yeah, I got a little emotional.
On the way home?
On the way home
So all he wanted to do was see you react to
He
that
wanted
picture.
to talk to me and see me react to that picture and basically ask me if I could become a hero for him.
And you said
I
absolutely.
was like, dude, yes, I'll do it. And I did it.
Dude, fucking
Let's go.
Let's go, man.
Yeah. God, I think I'm gonna start crying.
Also, by the way, when you were revealed as Peter Quill, I believe you were 34, and it was because, and I know your age, because when it came out, I was like, I look like Andy Dwyer. How old is he? I have until that age.
Nice.
I was like,
let's go,
hammering beers and fucking. Like,
I've got 10 more years.
which, by the way, I love the way they explained it in parks.
Yeah.
When you're like, you and Adam Scott walking up the stairs, and it's like,
You lost 70 pounds just from not drinking beer?
how much beer were you drinking?
A lot of beer. A lot, yeah, probably too much. And basically, mirrored my life. That's what I had to do. That's all I had to do was just stop drinking beer for
Yeah, well,
I
I remember reading the earlier. It's like talking about the margaritas. You're a whiskey and margarita guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Next film, we talked about it. This is Scott Hatterberg getting recruited.
I've only ever played catcher.
Scott, you're not a catcher anymore. If you were, our call wouldn't have been the only one you got when your contract expired.
Yeah, hey, listen, no, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But the thing is,
You don't know how to play first base. Scott,
that's right.
it's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
Hey, anything worth doing is.
This movie is a fantastic movie.
Dude, we were just talking about it. It's insane. Like,
so
it's
good.
Pitt, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, it's Sorkin, right? It's fucking, it's everybody.
Aaron Sorkin.
Is there something you picked up from, let's say, Pitt or Philip Seymour Hoffman, like pre-scene that they do that kind of gets you ready?
I stole something from Phil that he did that to this day I still will do.
Oh, shit.
Yes. It was amazing. And we were in a stadium that's supposed to be filled, but they probably had about 4,000 background, all Oakland A's fans. You know, they're like, hey, come on down, be in the stands. And then they shot them in various locations in the stands so they could fill the stands, you know, by pasting and this same group of people. But that's still 4,000 people.
Yeah.
And so they're all standing around. And Philip Seymour Hoffman was, you know, a big actor and everybody wanted a piece of him, you know. And he just looked at the sides and looked down intensely and kind of paced. And you could tell he was in his element, you know. And no one messed with him. No one talked to him, no one tried to bother him, and no one tried to like get anything from him. Because he was so focused, you know what I mean? And so I'll periodically do that when I don't want people to fuck with me. I won't be thinking anything, but I'll just be like, I'll just do this mask, and then I'm like playing chess in my head or just doing stuff. I just don't want people to mess with me. So I took that from him. Yeah, just like kind of like that intensity of like people, just like the process, make it look like the process.
Make it look harder than it is.
I don't think that's what he was doing. I think he was probably really focusing. But sometimes you're like out there and you don't want to have to give a piece of yourself, so you just like. Literally nothing happening in here, but all on my face to pretend.
So you're acting, you're warming up?
Yeah, I'm acting. Yeah, I'm acting.
What about Pitt? What's it like working with him?
Dude, it was amazing. I mean, I was still very much, it was really early in my career, and I don't know that this is true, but it's hard for me to imagine myself being starstruck in a scene with another actor.
Course.
If at this point, because I've been doing this a long time, I'm certainly no Brad Pitt or anything, but I've been doing this, 26 years as a professional, and if I was in the room with a UFC fighter, I'm like, dude, this is fucking epic. But I remember at that, it was a little daunting, you know. He was like, he's Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah. So yeah.
Is there anything you do on set to make other actors who are lesser than you now or lower down the thing now, like make them at more ease, more casual?
Like, I feel as though it's the number, like, beyond just giving the best performance you can, it's the number one responsibility for the person who's number one on the call sheet. 100%. I love it. I grew up as an athlete. I was like, I take that mentality into acting. Like, you have to connect with people. You have to just I look at it and I'm like, who would I want me to be if I was them?
Mm-hmm.
Like pick their brain, get to know them, try to put them at ease. It ultimately leads to a better performance from them anyways, but I love that. I love the sports aspect of it. Like, and I feel I'm like the veteran captain of the team oftentimes when I'm working now. And so like I care about these younger actors or these lesser known actors. If they have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer anything. I definitely try to be present. And I've worked with people who are that way, and it's been really incredible. And I've worked with people who aren't that way, and I've felt it. So I want to be the guy who like makes it a good experience for people.
Well, we're getting the sign to wrap it up, but
oh really?
I just want to
man,
say
it's so fun.
Thank you so much for having us. I know Goonies was one of your scenes. We were going to get to that.
Oh,
I apologize,
that's all right.
but thank you so much. This has been incredible.
It's such
an honor talking to you.
Fun talking to you. Thank you. I didn't honestly expect that I was going to get emotional. Like, I don't think I've actually told that story, so that was really good.
Thank you very much for sharing with us.
My pleasure, man. It's great talking to you.
Really great talking to you as well.
Likewise.